Why do women seem to get drunk faster than men, even when they're drinking the same amount in the same place? It's not about tolerance or physical strength. The famous philosopher Simone de Beauvoir once joked that after just 2 glasses of wine, she'd feel dizzy before she could even start a debate on existentialism. Well, today, science has a clear answer. A woman's body processes alcohol differently often, much faster and more intensely, and the female brain actually reacts more strongly to the rewarding effects of alcohol. This isn't about drinking habits. It's about fundamental biological differences. The journey of alcohol starts the moment it touches your lips. As your taste buds send signals to your brain, your heart rate, blood flow, and even your brain chemistry begin to change. While a small amount of alcohol gets absorbed in your stomach, most of it heads to the small intestine and quickly enters your bloodstream. And this is where we see the first major difference between men and women. It's a process called first-pass metabolism. An enzyme called ADH, or alcohol dehydrogenase, is responsible for breaking down alcohol in your stomach and liver. Back in 1990, a study gave men and women alcohol doses adjusted for their body weight. Even with that adjustment, the women filtered out less alcohol in that first stage. This meant more alcohol entered their bloodstream, leading to higher blood alcohol levels. Scott Edwards, a researcher at Louisiana State University, explains it simply. When you drink alcohol, it goes to the stomach first, which contains ADH. However, men have more of this enzyme than women. Therefore, men can metabolize alcohol much faster during that initial stage. This is a key reason why health guidelines have different definitions of binge drinking for men and women. But it's not just about enzymes. Body composition plays a huge role too. Rainer Spanigal, a German neuropharmacologist, points out that weight is a dominant factor. Ethanol, the alcohol we drink, spreads out evenly across all parts of our body, like our organs and brain. So, if you have a smaller body, you have smaller compartments for that alcohol to spread into. If a man and a woman both drink half a bottle of wine, the same amount of alcohol gets concentrated into a smaller physical space in the woman. But Scott Edwards argues that it's more than just weight. It's what that weight is made of. Generally, women have a higher percentage of body fat and a lower percentage of water than men. Alcohol is water-soluble, meaning it dissolves in water, not fat. So, with less water to dilute it, the alcohol becomes more concentrated in a woman's blood. Jill Becker, an expert on sex differences at the University of Michigan, notes that we almost never consider these differences in everyday life. A standard glass of wine is the same size for everyone. Nobody asks for your weight before pouring you a drink. Because of this, women often end up getting a much higher dose of alcohol relative to their body size before their enzymes even get a chance to start working. Now, let's talk about what happens when alcohol reaches the brain. This is where a phenomenon called telescoping comes into play for women. Telescoping means a much faster progression from that first drink to developing alcohol dependence. As Jill Becker says, women become addicted more quickly and consume larger amounts in a shorter period. Clinical studies from the 80s all the way to the 2000s have consistently shown this. Even though women, on average, start drinking regularly later in life and drink less over their lifetime than men, the time between major milestones like the start of drinking-related problems or seeking treatment is much shorter for them. Hormones are another big factor here. Estradiol, the main hormone produced by the ovaries, actually boosts dopamine release in the brain. Since alcohol also increases dopamine, estradiol basically amplifies that rewarding effect. Becker explains, during ovulation, women tend to have a higher preference for substances, which can make them more likely to drink more. On top of that, research shows women are more likely than men to use alcohol to self-medicate for things like anxiety or depression. While some men do this too, the rate of using alcohol to cope with emotional distress is higher among women. So what does all this science mean for us in the real world? Jill Becker shares a personal perspective. She says, "I am from the generation of 1970s second-wave feminism. At that time, there was a strong belief that women had the right to drink just like men. And while that belief was rooted in the fight for equality, she admits that biology makes things more complicated. She warns, women need to know that if they stand next to a man and drink hard liquor at the same pace, they won't just get drunk faster. The long-term consequences could be much more devastating. The key takeaway here is that alcohol affects women more intensely. Not because they're weaker drinkers, but because their bodies, their enzymes, their hormones, and their brains are biologically wired to react differently. Understanding these differences is the first step toward making informed and healthy choices for yourself. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like and subscribe for more content.